Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back here joined with Inson Dubois Wood, who's a world-renowned architect, interior design. There's just so much to say about you. So I'll have you do the introduction, Mr. Harvard. Please say hello and introduce yourself to everyone today.
Well, it's really nice to see you. Big fan of your show on WPIX. But I hope everyone's enjoying the amazing weather. It's been a pretty nice run for the past few days. So we're a little about our firm. We're located right in Chelsea in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. But we do projects throughout the tri-state area, mostly residential, but we are doing some fun restaurants and a little bit of hospitality with some hotels. A lot of our work now is out east in the Hamptons. So a bunch of my clients moved from the city to the Hamptons. So we're doing some renovations there and even some new construction, which is fun. But we're also doing a lot of, since people are in the suburbs for a little while, we're fixing up their Manhattan townhouses and that kind of thing.
InsonDuboisWood.com is the website. Now he's being very modest here. World renowned. You have an amazing background, and he's really like the architect, interior designer to like celebrities. Speaking of being around the world, can you talk a little bit about your background with your father? An amazing story from Thailand, but you are quite diverse. And I also want to talk about those that you studied with at Harvard, some amazing people as well. So let's start a little bit about your background and your father, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, like I tell a lot of my interns and younger folk that I come across, that you should always follow your dreams. But architecture and interiors is really a lot about sort of, I call it the intersection of the impossible and the sublime, right? So getting anything built is a miracle. It's such a complex world in terms of, building codes and all that kind of thing, but also, convincing clients that your vision is something worth pursuing. So a lot of that kind of energy and desire has to come from within, but also it's something that's, doesn't happen overnight. So a lot of my success, I think, has come from my journey, which also begins even before it predates me with my parents. So my dad grew up in northern Thailand, sort of agrarian, just outside of Chiang Mai. Not a huge cosmopolitan area, but in his inner being, he really wanted to be an artist. So he had that creative gene from someone. My grandmother on my Thai side was kind of creative, and even my grandfather, although he was a merchant businessman, loved kind of like jewelry, precious stones, gems. So we had that side of the business, and they also did, they had the first printing press for some of the newest, the different newspapers in the area. And Thailand was very sort of northern Thailand was very backwoods. Women didn't even wear shirts for the first half of the century. So it was a very, male-oriented and sort of business, but also agrarian-minded culture. My dad wanted to become an artist, which was kind of either just seen as a craft or nothing real. So he was supposed to be in line for acquiring the family business, but really wanted to do art, and he left everything and was basically disowned for a while by my grandfather. Lived with monks in a Buddhist temple for free and was able to sort of support himself through college. And he came across this amazing Italian art professor in Bangkok who was kind of like the founder of modern art. He said, "You've got to go to Thailand. You've got to go to Europe." So my father had a few shows and got some money together. And then this professor got him sponsored by Vespa. It was actually Lambretta. So he took a scooter. It's this amazing story. He's kind of like the Che of Thailand. Wow. Motorcycle diary. So he literally took the ferry to India and drove through all the places we've had conflicts with, Istanbul, Karachi, all these interesting, very intense cultures. We made it through Iraq, Iran, Istanbul, all the way to landed in Greece. And then later, to make a long story short, he ended up in Paris And my mom, her parents had gone to America, and then she came back to Paris in her senior year of college to find her roots and was studying at the Sorbonne. My dad had taken some courses at the Côte de Beaux-Arts just to get like the meal plan. So they met, and so I'm actually made in Paris, but I was born in New York. And
Aw.
so it's kind of an interesting story. But yeah, so the creative journey and those influences, having traveled back to Thailand many times, really amazing. I encourage everyone to travel to grow. Some of the most interesting experiences are not just from what you see in the foreign land, but also reflecting on yourself and sort of seeing your other you back in America and what have you. So you grow by being able to reflect.
And then you come to the city, you graduate the top of your class from Cornell University, and then you get your master's from Harvard. So that's impressive feat in itself. So congrats on that. But it shows you how amazingly talentedly smart you are. Not to say that everyone has to go to those amazing schools, but very prestigious. And from there, you were destined for great things. So how did your career take off, after school, and the people that you met along the way? I know you want to share some of that.
Yeah, well, so I mean, again, part of the sort of accolades and my double Ivy League background didn't come from, when I was a child. My mother got cancer when I was very little. So when I was 7 years old, she was given literally 7 days to 7 years maximum to live. And so that was a hard thing to process when you're in first grade. So I had those sort of challenges of my mom being healthy sick over time. And unfortunately, she did pass away when I was 14. So I had to find my own inner strength. Luckily, I had a stepdad, and he had also been an influence. We built an entire log house, a 3-story log house from scratch. He had his own like logging machine. We cut down
Wow.
trees in the forest and dragged them out with this incredible.
Where is this cabin that you
So
built?
this is in Connecticut. Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
northeastern Connecticut, right outside of Yukon. Great,
Awesome.
great, fun university. Sort of another agrarian world. But so that experience started to develop, my love for building and really knowing materials. A lot of times, as an architect or a designer, you don't really know how things work. So that helped really build my love and understanding of how things work. And then I was lucky to go to a boarding school in northern New England. So that was a great experience, sports and competition. So that was cultivated. But I tried to stay as a Renaissance man. I was in the orchestra, I was in the judicial committee, I was a dorm leader, all these different things. So all of these elements help build your foundation. Even though it was a very, elite, prestigious boarding school preparing you for college, the college counselor was like, there's no way you're going to get into Cornell. It's literally the hardest school because they only take 100 kids. And then the other secret is they only graduate 30. So it's a 5-year program.
Wow.
All of that is very intense. So yeah, and out of that, only a few people actually become architects or have their own business. So I was lucky in that way. But yeah, so in terms of, I think all these little steps, you have to be ambitious. In architecture, they even call it competitions. So when you do these kind of design competitions to win a project, it's all about really putting your best foot forward, all your energy into it. And that's really been the sort of approach I take to all projects, big or small. Every client in our firm is treated the same way, whether it's a studio or a 20,000 square foot mansion. We treat everyone with the most respect and loyalty, not only to the client, but also to the project. So I do push clients on exploring, creative ideas, as well as really finding out who they are. So yeah, in terms of then just sort of the timeline, going to Harvard was amazing. It's the kind of program that, since I'd done the Cornell program, you don't really need a full master's degree. I probably should have done a Harvard MBA, but in terms of my experience there, it was the perfect time because there were 3 super influential professors that were there at the same time. Frank Gehry, who I think everyone knows, Zaha Hadid, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but just incredible design, as well as actually two others, Wolf Pricks from Austria, and he offered me a summer internship, so that was amazing. And Rem Koolhaas, who's also built a lot of things all over the world in China. So really having these they're more kind of like guest professors. They just come in because they also have their professional life, but they really show you that the impossible can happen. And Zaha Hadid was a woman, one of the only known women architects, and she was also a Muslim, came from Iraq. She was literally, when she was coming to Harvard to give the lecture, she was stopped. She had all these amazing like lucite plastic cool architecture models and stopped at customs and everything during the Iraq War. Is crazy. But so the different influences are amazing. Traveling is great. I was able to go to Vienna. That was an incredible experience. I worked for, so there's Wolf Pricks right in the heart of Vienna. His firm is called Co-op Immobilien. And then there was another team, really amazing guys that had known them from Cornell. And they had just started their own firm. They're sort of 5 young guys, kind of like a Navy SEALs approach, kind of what we try to do here. It's a small firm, but we can do everything. And so that was really amazing. So with them,
did you work on that townhouse with them? That 25,000 square foot townhouse in the city? Explain that.
Well, there's one of them that we did. That was an amazing project. There was it was one of the largest, really beautiful historical townhouse. One of them, the most insane one, was on 96th Street. So the client knew that in order to invite prestigious friends and clients, he'd have to make something extremely wow, similar to Ogden Codman, who had built it in 1905. And he was friends with Edith Wharton, who's kind of like the top, writer and literary person of the day. So he built a similar one for her 2 doors down. So these are 2 massive townhouses. One of them's turned into a school. It's so large, but that was an incredible project. We really got to redesign the whole thing. A lot of the elements were done sort of in the classical style, but then we'd insert more modernist pieces. We had an amazing turntable from the old carriage days, and so we renovated that with full mechanics and electronically. So you could park your car and it would turn around automatically. It's pretty cool. So you could drive out the way, the opposite way you came in.
Wow. Don't forget InsonDuboisWood.com, the website. I mean, these pictures of his projects, I just look at them and I'm like in awe. I want to live in a place that looks like this. But really, the work that you do is amazing. And we've had some great conversations in the past, not on Zoom, but in regards to how you do everything from these amazing high-end projects. But also, we've talked down to earth, using products and furniture from IKEA and home goods. You can make a beautiful place out of things that aren't so expensive. And I just also want to point out your luxury interior design company, but also behind you, is that your book? Could you tell us about that before we continue? Because that's an amazing accolade as well.
Yeah, that was a huge project, a huge production. It's over 300 pages and projects in 12 different countries. We have France, right in the heart of Paris. There's some projects up in Malmo, Sweden. It was amazing. It was it's incredible, an incredible house by one of the Nordic architect's granddaughters. So we have things in Lake Como. We also, it's 14th century renovated farmhouse. So some really interesting things. We've gone to Mallorca for 2 projects. There's some projects in Thailand. So since we can't all travel, it's definitely worth picking up. Bestseller. So it's definitely fun. And we went back, unlike a lot of times you'll have sort of a collection of projects and you kind of see the grainier old projects. We went back and photographed with all the same photographers. So we styled everything, cleaned up everything.
Wow.
Looks really nice. And there's almost every style. So that's another thing that we try to do is really custom fit the project to the client. So a lot of times I'll have dinner with the clients before we get to know them and see how they live and how their dreams and aspirations are going forward, how they want to entertain, or if it's more for their own personal private time. So every project should kind of be a real bespoke approach, not just, an interior designer. You're not just selling a style, you're selling a lifestyle. So there was an amazing architect, Stanford White, and his whole philosophy, not that I recommend people pursuing it, but he said the architect must live better than his client. So we try to, really stay abreast of all cultural things, all the latest, museums, art. We're big, we sell clients art and have a lot of connections to some really amazing pieces in the art world, but also even recommend on different lifestyles, where to vacation, where to go to restaurants, some of the best hotels, because I've been lucky enough to experience some of those things through my travels.
I know if you're looking for a new BFF, that's me. Come see me. I would love to travel with you and check out your projects, especially out east. So at Amazon, we can get your book. And just from the Huffington Post, I just want to read this quote. It is meant to show how many influence wood can bring together in one room, and it does so. Inson Dubois wood interiors, even ones that are nominally minimalist, are planned with care and executed with elan. I mean, the beautiful reviews about your work. So we can pick up that book. Amazon, just want to point that out. And there's so much to you. So Anson, continue. We have 10 more minutes, but the time goes so fast. Holy cow. What else did you want to discuss for
Well,
today?
I think it's, what's fun, in some ways, I'm the luckiest guy in the world, and that I get to really do what everyone spends all their time looking on Pinterest and Instagram at fun interiors or things they'd like to do to their home. Like you said, even some of my most affluent clients want certain areas done inexpensively or, realistically for the use, whether it's 3 kids and dogs or what kind of thing. So that's really kept me sharp. So we've gotten amazing things from all the kind of online places. There's Our House and like you said, IKEA and that kind of thing. But we have a whole list of kind of secret, affordable things. And that's why if people can't afford to use a designer, I think they should, because there's still a huge, not everything's still on the internet. And there's some amazing deals that your designer architect can really help you find, as well as you'd be surprised they have ideas for how to customize your space specifically to you. So a lot of times it's simple built-ins. A lot of times people are like, I'm tired of built-ins or I can't afford them. But the IKEA desk or catalog desk isn't always perfect. Now that we're all working from Zoom, building things just for your needs can really be helpful. Sometimes you don't want to see all your books. So it's a really custom approach to how you want to live and define your life, as well as how you want to show off a little bit to your clients or friends.
And with this pandemic, have you been busier than ever? People wanting to remodel, sick of being home, looking around like, or we need home office space. I mean, what has happened for you personally and your clients during the pandemic?
Yeah, well, a lot of people are focusing on more outdoor stuff. So doing a bunch of pools, pool houses, all of that kind of thing. Everyone wants to, now everyone's very health oriented. So gymnasiums, home gyms, or any kind of area that just even, finding places that you can have a workout machine. I'm a big fan of for everyone, I recommend like a rowing machine. So there's the Erg 1000, cost about $900, I think, but you can go vertically if you have a small apartment. So and really now today's world is all about hit high intensity workouts. So everyone has 8 minutes. So everybody can do a 1K or 2K pull on the rowing machine. But yeah, in terms of our personal projects in the city, things are also very busy because now time to buy in Manhattan, everything's about 20 to 15% lower than usual. So a lot of people are buying those apartments they couldn't afford, and things are really coming back. There's a mile-long line around the Met right now. I just came down and saw everybody enjoying the beautiful weather. So outdoors is definitely worth experiencing and really coming back to the city. Cafes are all, everyone's vaccinated. So
and popping again. Good. Yeah, I won't be back in the city till next week for another job. So I can't wait to see it because boy, oh boy, it's been so lonely and just so different. I mean, but now with the nicer weather and the vaccinations, I think we're all on and up and up. I know you're doing a lot of work out east right now too, in the Hamptons, right?
Yeah, busy doing some new projects in Southampton, which are great, but also a lot of the um, smaller areas are hot. Quag is great because a bunch of clients in Quag don't sit on 27 as long, so that's a nice benefit. But and the prices are a little more affordable. But we're also doing some large, doing a development project of 7 homes out east. So new construction and interiors are really, that's the most fun because when you can design it from the inside and out, all fully integrated as a full composition, that's one of the best quality of the project.
And just curious, we've been talking for a while now. What does Inson do for fun?
Yeah, well, we have
Topic. What do you do for fun? What do you do?
so I'm a big cyclist. I have my own bicycle team. If anyone wants to donate, some foundationcyclingnewyork.org.
Okay.
So that's, and it's just over 18 years. It's one of the longest running sort of charitable teams, and we help inner city kids race at the professional level. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
Yeah, so we've raised over $2 million for kids to race at the professional level. We have 12 people have gone fully pro, and a bunch, dozens have gone semi-pro. It's a lot of fun. So that's definitely one of the best, and that's another thing that wasn't too badly impacted by the pandemic.
wow. See, I'm glad I asked an off-topic question. I get to know you better. That's amazing. And what's the website one more time?
So it's insonduboiswood.com, and people can give me a call at 212-343-1077. Check out our Instagram, Inson Dubois Wood, and our Facebook, Inson Dubois Wood.
Great. And we still have 5 minutes left. Could you talk about some current trends or anything that's important to you? Do you want to talk about some types of tips, trends? What is it that's important to you?
Yeah, so I mean, as a son of a painter, I'm definitely not afraid of color, but I do like to use it sparingly. I think a lot of times people get over inspired, and sometimes they'll do like I've done a big red room, but in terms of, in smaller projects, sometimes an accent wall is a really great way of introducing the wild wallpaper or the crazy color, but you're not set with it, because I think, in general, humans do well when it's a calmer pastel color. But I do love, pops of color. So that can come from the artwork. It can come from just a simple pillow or throw, things that you're not stuck with forever. If you want to change it out for a little while, you can, accessories like vases and even, different ceramics and that kind of thing. Sculptures can make a space really activated. A lot of times we're working a lot with different hues of gray. So you really have a kind of, everyone loves the Hamptons and the ocean. So anything that's driftwood color is my favorite. We're doing a lot of floors with beautiful sort of driftwood colored grays. We have, and again, soothing colors like the sky blues and the grays are really well, and they go with anything, whether it's a white or an orange. So sometimes I encourage people before they go nuts to remember that you might be stuck with it for a while, and to use color sparingly. But if you're really in love with something, go for it.
Good. All right, good to know. And you mentioned grays, but I mean basic colors these days, right? I mean basic homes like with the gray or with the beige. You pop up, you believe in wallpaper, the amazing crown molding and all those types of things that you do is just fascinating that I see on your website. Even a little touch of that can really change a plain colored wall, right?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times people don't, they'll say they love neoclassical and they really mean, contemporary modern, so, or the vice versa. So what I like to do is have the contrast, right? So if you have a pre-war classical interior, maybe you introduce some beautiful modern, cleaner looking upholstered sofas and that kind of thing. Sometimes you can bring in like an antique piece into a more modern environment. Maybe you dip it in, high gloss lacquer or something, and suddenly you have a transformational piece. One of my mentors, who I use a lot of his fabrics, Christopher Highland, is amazing. He's the one who I got the Christopher Highland Award for most eclectic. and he also endorsed my book. He's an incredible man and really one-stop shopping for a lot of the interior decorating fabrics and leathers and that kind of thing. So, and he was always emphasizing, you need to bring in the warmth. A lot of times in architecture school, you just learn about cold, modern, well, everything is white. But really, even in my more modern projects, I'll use window treatments that can soften a space. So that level of contrast is really important. Hard, soft, light, dark. I think people really need to, see what's been done and then make their own reaction to it. Not just copying what you see everywhere, but really borrowing from different and diverse experiences. So much of the time you say, I want to go to France and we love, Parisian things, but part of my whole world was really enhanced by going like to the south of France. So
Yeah.
we'd fly in with my mom to Nice, and there they have incredible antique shops, an eighth of the cost of anything in the US. And I was lucky to stay with friends at some of the nicer hotels like Colombe d'Or, Chèvre d'Or, Vague d'Or, all of the golds of the south of France, really amazing. Saint-Tropez. So borrow from places, but don't be afraid to mix it up.
Good. And just quickly, one question. Do you have a favorite room in a house that you work on? Like, are you just in love with kitchens, living rooms, bedrooms, bathrooms, dining rooms? What? Pick one.
Yeah, so kitchens are everything.
Okay, cool.
And you always find even people like, Bloomberg coming at cocktail parties, coming to the back of the kitchen to get the goodies. So that's definitely the most interesting. It's like its own little museum.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. Inson, tell us again how we can get in touch with you one more time.
Yes, anyone can email me, inson@insonwood.com, and check out our website, insonduboiswood.com. Happy to answer any questions.
Always a pleasure speaking with you. Great I got to actually see you and speak with you today. You have a fantastic day and week, and looking forward to the next time we speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.